We'll call the interview good.
Okay. All right, we are live now. This is Indie Talk with Jesse and Jeryn, and we will bring on a guest in a few short minutes. We're gonna hype him up a bit. We have the one and only TNA Impact star, or former TNA Impact star Hernandez. He's traveled all over the world, and we can't wait to bring him on. We want to get some viewers on here so we can make sure it's all good. We definitely want people to listen in on this broadcast, and we
Yep.
are very excited for this. So,
So
like we
we definitely have Hernandez
mm-hmm. We definitely
waiting
have
to be
Hernandez.
brought on. We just want to get some people in here.
Yeah, looks like we got one so far, and I'm
Two.
sharing it to the Facebook groups and everything. So, all right, we got two.
Can we see who they are?
Um, I don't think I can exactly see who they are, but I know on Instagram I can. So, but yeah, you guys got a comment so we can see you guys.
Yep.
All right.
Hernandez wants to see him.
Okay. All right. I think we can get ready now. You all set?
All right. So, without further ado, here is Hernandez.
All right. And
Hey,
there's
Hernandez,
Hernandez.
how you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Nothing
Pretty
much.
good. Yeah. Yeah. So we got a few viewers on Facebook right now, a few on Instagram, and yeah, I know a lot of people are very excited for this. So I think we can get right into it. Let's just go back to the beginning. Talk about how you got into watching wrestling and your early career.
Yeah. Well, my father was in the army for 30 years, so we moved around a lot. And so I got very blessed. I got to see Georgia Championship Wrestling, AWA Wrestling, Houston Wrestling, Dallas Wrestling with the Von Erichs. So I got my whole mix of
Mm.
what different genres, different guys. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I've heard a little bit about that, and it seems like a good territory down there back in the day, and it's yeah, great stuff. Um, oh, we got someone who you definitely know. APW owner Pete King says yes! Exclamation points. Yep, we got Pete in here. That's his first comment, so hopefully get a
Yep.
few more comments in here. So
Cool.
yeah, all right, Jesse.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you something here. So back in TNA, or when it was known as Impact, there was two LAXs,
Mm.
you and Homicide, and the other being Ortiz and Santana.
hmm
What was that like feuding with them?
Well, those guys were mentored by Homicide and trained by Eddie Kingston.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
it was, those were like their sons. So it was
Yeah.
really cool. They were very respectful, very, down to earth, and very, very talented. I mean, it was, we actually worked with them probably like 2 or 3 years before that in New Jersey. And those
Mhm.
guys are very talented, man. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the new LAX during that period. Definitely good talents, and
Mhm.
now they're in AEW tagging again with Kingston again. So that is really cool to see things full circle again. And I didn't even know that they did, or Eddie did Impact. I know the Santana and Ortiz did Impact before, but
Yeah.
it's cool just learn little tidbits about all that. So yeah, all right. Give a few more viewers on there. Oh man, I'm gonna fix this echo quick. Oh, all right, there we go.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. And we got a Facebook comment. Oh shit, Hernandez, above all you dudes work. What a monster. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, what was your inspiration for your different beard slash facial hairstyles?
Well, when you can't grow it up here like this, you have to
Mm-hmm.
you have to come up with some different looks.
Mm-hmm.
When I was up becoming a wrestler, and I was already going bald in the early 20s. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, the hair was part of the look.
Mm-hmm.
Most wrestlers in the 80s and early 90s had long hair, and
Oh, yeah.
brother, I'm not doing that with look, this all missing the hair on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
You have to improvise. If you can't grow up here, you just grow on your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just wait. You're a young man. You're a young man. Wait till give
Mm-hmm.
yourself about 10, 15 years. You're gonna look like both of us.
Yeah, I'm just reaching my 20s now. I'm currently 19, so
Oh, okay. Well, enjoy that full head of hair while you can.
yeah, I definitely will. My dad's a little bald too. Jesse's bald, and I'll eventually I'll get to that point. Oh man, yeah. All right, Jesse.
So, so what was it like being paired up with Conan?
Well, it was awesome because I mean, here I am, an indie guy, and just trying to get my name out there. And there's Homicide who's doing main events and Ring of Honor, making a big name for himself. Conan's made a big name for himself in AAA and WCW. I just was just happy to be along for the ride at first,
Yeah,
and
Mm,
just make sure I wasn't the weak link all the time in the matches. That's all you try to do because you have Conan who has the perfect gift for gab, especially getting heel heat, and then you have Homicide so unpredictable from Ring of Honor. You don't know what he's gonna do in the ring.
mhm,
So I had two good mentors getting me started, so it was really cool.
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely great mentors there, and yeah, Conan's done so much in the world of wrestling, and then Homicide as well, and I believe he's doing stuff in the NWA now.
Yeah,
So yeah.
the current NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, the junior heavyweight champion. Yeah, yeah. I think I just saw something about that. I'm like, oh man. So yeah, just going back, looking at some homicide stuff and LAX, and then that popped up. So yeah, yeah, good stuff. All right. What else? Uh, oh yeah, I guess you covered that question now. But one question I definitely wanted to go over was No Surrender 2009. It was the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Yourself, Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Sting, and Matt Morgan.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts going into that match?
Uh, well, it was an honor to be in the ring with Kurt Angle anytime.
Hmm.
Kurt and AJ are easily two of the best guys I've ever been in the ring with ever,
Hmm.
and so it was always awesome. Matt is a great dude, great big giant. It was a different time because you had half the management wanted me to be the heavyweight champion, and the other half no, don't want me to be the champion. So
Hmm.
you can see how that goes. It was like it was all fun and games, and you're a tag champion, a tag. We were selling a lot of merch stuff like this, but it's a different, whole new ball game being a singles guy because
Hmm.
everyone wants to be the singles heavyweight champion, and
Right.
everyone wants to do what they have to do, either in the ring or politically behind the scenes to make sure they are the champion.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, I wasn't the champion, so you already know my political skills aren't very good.
Mhm. Yeah. But yeah, I was just an incredible group of guys, and
Oh yeah,
you and I think AJ at the time was younger, but you and Matt Morgan were kind of the young guys, and then having Sting and Kurt in there working
yeah,
together, and I think it was just a good combination of different talents and seeing how that worked out. So yeah.
most deaf.
Hmm. Uh oh. Tracy in the comments section says that cage dive was that in eight or triple eight insane.
Oh, the
besides?
cage. Yeah, the cage dive. That was in 2010. And that was in AAA and Triple Mania.
Okay.
You know, it was very, very awkward and very stressful because the
Mm-hmm.
night before they bring you to the building. They, Sean, can you jump off the cage? Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the day of the show, they go, Sean, there's no way that we can get the truss, bring it down and then back up.
Mm.
It takes about 30 to 45 minutes. So there's so
Mm-hmm.
that be how much time would be between matches. Can you just jump off the truss,
Hmm.
which is on top of the cage?
Oh, okay.
That's yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. And then I got up there.
Holy
And
moly.
I was going, man. I hope these lights turn out. I just crawled back down because it was very scary. I'll be very honest. Man. It was scary to be up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Luckily, it all worked out. It pulled off. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Being on top of the cage is like just like with any cage, any company that you just look up and like that's got to be scary. Just
Well,
looking up and then being on it.
it's not just the cage. I was on top of the truss.
Yeah, that's the trust too.
And then there's 23, 24,000 people there all looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is he going to slip and fall? Is he going to come down? Is he going to jump? What's he going to do? And
Mm-hmm.
man,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very unpredictable when you're up there, and you gotta hope, I guess.
I was literally hoping the lights went out.
Mm-hmm.
I could just
Oh
crawl
yeah,
back down the cage.
yeah, yeah. Someone comes out from the ring, and you sneak it back down, and
Oh
then you go
yes,
back up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great question, Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy.
Yeah. Pete King's now saying, I think I know the answer, but have you faced Ken Anderson?
yes,
Yeah.
and TNA of course,
Mm. Oh, okay.
very
What was
cool.
what was your best memory with Ken?
Man, he's just great to get along with in the locker room. I mean, he's been he's been in the bigger leagues. Not saying TNA wasn't, but he was obviously in WWE, which is the
Mm-hmm.
all be all as far as making money.
Right.
Just him willing to share knowledge in the locker room on how to conduct yourself, how to be more professional, how to just things that your normal trainer or mentor won't share with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if he likes you, he was just an open book of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's definitely gotta have a lot of information, and
Yes,
he's now still teaching. He's got a school in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, called the
yes.
Academy. So yeah, still teaching knowledge, still training, and a lot of stars have come out of there. So yeah. Uh, Jesse.
So, what was it like when they brought Hulk Hogan into Impact?
Oh man,
Actually, no one knew what was going on.
no one.
Absolutely no one. I mean, you know, Hogan and Bischoff came in and no one knew what was going on, because are we going to continue the storylines before or are we just going to, you know, erase everything and, start things fresh or what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
If you saw there was a lot of turnover too, I mean, as far as talent,
Mm-hmm.
there was mainstay talents that you remember, from the X Division, from,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And all of a sudden, they're either cut to once a month or once every other week or something, or completely let go. So it wasn't the same. Obviously, it wasn't the same TNA that everyone was used to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When just it turned into almost like a WWE light, and
Yeah.
that's where you know the critics kept getting louder.
Right.
Every time you
Mm-hmm.
hit that 1.1 or 1.2 on the rating scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I was thinking about that too. Like that whole transition period with yeah, Hulk Hogan coming in, then Bischoff. I
Mhm.
mean, at that point, people were probably like, "Oh, this is WCW all over again," and
Oh
pretty
yeah,
much was. Yeah.
it was. I mean, the critics were so bad. It was. I mean, It was a setup for failure to begin with. Because
Mm-hmm.
well, obviously with the new regime, and you let certain talents go, and you bring in older talents that hasn't been on TV in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, it lost the brand for the crowd. And I remember the first week live, we were supposed to have a match, and they canceled the match because there wasn't enough time to give us a match. Then they finally decided to give us a match, me and Matt Morgan, and we got to have a 2 minute match.
Mm-hmm.
You
2 minute
I mean,
match.
so it went from, oh man, you're gonna have this great match here. Oh man, we'll have time to put you on the match. Oh man, here's 2 minutes. Go out there.
Mm. Yeah.
It was definitely, when you're used to taping all the time, taping the product, and then also you go straight live because that's what the new regime wants. It was a
Mm.
big clash.
Mm.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. 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 I just felt like, yeah, they just wanted to make more time for the WWE guys, and you got to treat them better. And I think you got to, yeah, they definitely really did take into consideration like the amount of work that the original TNA guys had, and then it kind of became
Well,
WWE after that.
in my humble opinion, I think the way they had it before, when they had Kurt and Sting and Christian
Yeah.
Cage,
Mm-hmm.
those guys were willing to work with anyone on the show. Those
Mm-hmm.
guys were willing to elevate guys and still able to keep their stature, and they
Yeah.
can take a loss, or they can take, you know not being on top of a feud, and it won't hurt their career or their credibility. Whereas the other guys he started bringing in, oh, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, and you know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When WB called them back, they all win back.
Mm. Oh,
Every single person that was in that regime went straight back.
mm.
So
Mm.
you already know.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think over the years I've heard like there's been interviews of like the bigger WWE guys in TNA, and then years later they're like, "Oh yeah, remember that little company TNA? That was kind of a really dumb time or something." And they're like, "Well, you kind of made it that way, I guess." But,
Well, the funny thing about it was every talent that was in TNA
mhm.
that came from WWE were looking for a payday.
Yeah, that too.
So if nothing else, maybe TNA wasn't to your liking, or TNA wasn't as good as WWE, or whatever you want to say.
Hmm.
You took the money and got paid, so there must not have been that little.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely paid him a lot. The same,
Oh
or
yeah,
almost WCW raises, but I mean, yeah, definitely in there for just the paychecks. So
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, and not for the majority of the guys, they tried hard. They tried to integrate themselves with the other guys, but
Hmm.
there was like two or three of the guys that you can tell were just painted by the numbers and just there for the check.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, Jesse.
So Joe Nielsen has a question. Who is your dream or bucket list opponent?
Oh man, brother, I got to wrestle everyone under the sun. I mean, I love
Hmm.
Lucha Libre. I love Triple A style wrestling. I love Japanese wrestling. I love the TNA wrestling. I've got to wrestle just about everyone you could possibly think. I got to wrestle AJ Styles, Sting, Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy. You know, just those names on the back. Booker T, Kevin Nash. I've wrestled all those guys. I mean, get a little time machine and go back 20 years. 20 years ago with it. Before I got to be with those guys, and asking that question. But now, I mean, I'll get to wrestle just about anybody I wanted to and had a
Mm.
great time, you know.
Right. Yeah. 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 As soon as I saw that, I'm like, you definitely probably wrestled everyone at this point,
Oh, I mean,
especially being in
yo,
TNA during that time.
how many guys can say they got introduced to the ring by Hulk Hogan, who
Mm.
or you know, when I wrestled when I had that feud with AJ and I'm and Ric Flair is my manager. Come on, I mean,
Yeah.
for myself it doesn't get bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. Um. Yeah. So we talked about Peking earlier. You got to be on one of his shows during the APW Summer Meltdown
Yep,
and August 28th.
yep.
You faced Sin Bodhi. How were you approached by P King and working that show? And how was the show?
And the show was great. I mean, I've never been that part of the country in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Pete was a great host, and he put on a great show, and the people were all into it. And he had a nice little roster of young guys, and me, myself, and somebody in the locker room. So it was, and most of the guys either have had tryouts or have had small stints in different bigger promotions. So it was very well run. I was very impressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Pete and I have been talking a lot for the last few months. Kind of became just good acquaintances and talking back and forth about wrestling. And he's like, "Oh, what about or how would you think about having Hernandez on the show?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll have Hernandez on the show." So yeah, he
Who
was,
wouldn't want Hernandez on the podcast?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then yeah, for you to be at an APW show like that, that must have been really cool for him and just I mean the crowd as well. So.
Yeah, well, it was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jesse.
All right. So, have you worked for Ring of Honor?
Oh yes, here's the funny story. I mean, when I first started getting the business in the early '90s, you know, that's when MySpace and the internet first started coming out, and
Mm-hmm.
Ring of Honor was the only thing on the independent level that was predominantly on the internet. So I mean, myself and a lot of guys from San Antonio would drive
Mm.
from San Antonio, Texas. I lived in Houston at the time. They'd pick me up in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We'd drive to Georgia, get some sleep, and then wrestle Friday night. And then as soon as the match was over, we'd go straight to New York City, another 12 hours, just
Mm.
to be on the pre-show.
Gotcha.
Just to hope that we get a look, And the funny thing about it is there's a lot of videos out there where I'm on the pre-show, maybe first match, maybe second match, and
Mhm.
there's my future tag partner Homicide in the main event. You know, so who would have
Mhm.
thought that would happen? You know,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's another thing too. Like, I know fans probably think about it a little bit, but like, there's no way you can really understand the travel that goes into it and the driving and, like you said, 12 hours and 12 back.
that's 12 hours just to get to Georgia, and then another 12 to get to New York City.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's even longer. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
What now? It's we sound like old grandpas. In the last 20 years because
Mm-hmm.
social media is such big and the internet is such big that
Mm-hmm.
instead of driving to these places and hoping they give you a look or hoping they give you a tryout, they can see how you work from the videos from your Facebook page or your Twitter page or whatever page you have. They
Mm-hmm.
can see your video, they can see what you look like in person and see
Right.
your working style. Otherwise, like I said in the grandpa story, back in my day, you had to
Mhm.
fucking, you know, send a VHS tape.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
And son, you're only 19 years old. You probably don't even know what a VH tape is.
I've had dates before, yeah, but
Oh,
a long
yeah,
time ago, yeah.
you've seen
Mhm.
one.
I've seen one, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember tapes, but cassette tapes, I don't know. So, or like anything before that. So, mhm,
That's how business was done. When I
mhm,
was trying to go to WB and or Japan and stuff like that, I had to send VHS tapes to these people for them to watch.
Oh man.
So now, now with a smartphone, you can do everything. You can watch a video, with the first 30 seconds, if you like this guy or not, or think this guy's good,
Right.
the clips and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
back then, you had to mail a VHS tape, which is, big as a brick,
Mm-hmm.
and you call the secretary hoping that it got confirmed that it's there. So, it was definitely a different time, man. These young kids these days don't know how good they have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Social media and wrestling, it's definitely it has its good times and it has its bad times. But I
Oh
mean, like
yes.
in terms of like seeing footage of a wrestler and seeing if you like them, yeah, social media is definitely good for that. So yeah.
Just like how we're talking right now.
Hmm.
This will never happen 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
streaming
You
that
know,
that definitely would have happened.
yeah, unless I'm driving to your house, you're driving to my house. There's no way this is happening.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
You young kids, especially your age, are taking
Mhm.
small things like this for granted. I mean,
Right.
you gotta realize myself. They're taking payphones down because who uses a payphone now?
Yeah, the payphones too. Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember I don't even know if I've ever actually seen a payphone in person. I'm like, have I? I don't think I have. So I know I've always heard about them in the movies and everything, but yeah,
Wow.
I heard stories. So yeah. Oh
Rough.
man. Mhm. And speaking of VHS tapes, Tracy says she has some of your VHS tapes. Hot stuff Hernandez days.
Yep.
Messing that up. Yeah.
Many,
Mhm.
many years ago.
Betty, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going back. I'm like, oh, we're called hot stuff. I'm like, oh man. So I mean, pretty much only know you as like Supermax and LAX and
yeah.
everything. And
Well,
yeah, going
we
old
all got we all got to start somewhere, man.
school. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking to my wife a little, a few minutes before we started this, and she watches the Young Rock all the time. And
Oh.
when the Rock first came up, and he was, Flex Cavana or Flex Maivia, something like that. You
Hmm.
know, we all can pick winners the first time out. Come on.
Yeah. 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 That's true. Yeah. I actually didn't know about the previous one, but yeah, Rocky by Via. That's definitely old school and the pineapple hair and everything. So.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
We used to watch, WWE religiously back then because we were up and coming wrestlers, and we're
Mhm.
watching Rocky Maivia as a babyface first coming out there, and
Mhm.
man, that crowd hated him.
Yeah, that's right.
This is before things got more PG and more, you know, kinder and gentler how people are treated now. There's 20,000 people chanting "Die Rocky, die,
Mm.
die Rocky,
Yeah.
die," just
Mhm.
because they're force feeding them down to be the number one baby face in the company.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was remembering that. I'm like, I don't think kids now would understand. Like, yeah, Rocky was a bad guy back then, or well, wasn't a bad guy, but they didn't see him as a good guy either. So he was
Oh,
just like they hated him. Hmm.
it was brutal, man.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Jesse.
So, how big of an impact has Rey Mysterio been on your career?
Well, Ray is the ultimate cruiserweight.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I've never been a cruiserweight. I wish I was, but
Hmm.
I like
Yeah.
to eat. I like to eat too much. Obviously,
Hmm.
usually I weigh between 250 260. Now, when I first started my career, I was about 305.
Hmm.
So
Oh
no,
man. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think oh, yeah.
go
Or
ahead,
you
man.
can go. Oh, yeah, I think at any point, like everybody wants to be like a Rey Mysterio cruiserweight, but then they also got to take into account like does that fit their wrestling style, who they are,
Yes.
the style? So, hmm
It's like when you see a 5'8" guy want to be Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan, you
hmm
laugh.
yeah, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, yeah. Oh, like so. Mike Tenay, Don West, probably the legendary commentary team of TNA. Do you have any good memories of them or stories?
Those guys are the great. They, I mean, they made LAX bigger
hmm
than it was because
Yeah.
yes, we had the video packages. Yes, we had the cool stuff in the ring. Yes, we had the ultimate mouthpiece. But if it wasn't for Don and Mike putting us over on commentary, this would never taken off. I mean, you
hmm
got to realize that in 2006, outside WWE, every kid, whether they're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, they all had an LAX T-shirt.
hmm
They're all throwing the LAX signs, and
oh
that
yeah.
was Mike today and Don West.
Mhm.
And the funny story is my finishing move, the border toss.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They created that nickname.
Mhm. Oh, they created.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
because they asked me what do you call that, and I go, oh man, I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
I go, well, let's call it the border toss. I go, why is that? He goes, yeah, because you're border tossing your family across the other side. I go, man, you don't say that on the mic, but yeah, that's cool.
yeah, that would be kind of questionable over the mic. But
But like I
yeah.
said, 15, 16 years ago, it's a little bit
Right.
different time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The times are always changing in wrestling, and definitely could say things back then they can't now. So it's always interesting to see how they change. So yeah. And yeah, Don West. I mean, I love both of them together, but I think Don West is probably the best commentator ever because I think just his style of how he says it, and he's just really into it, very excited about
Well,
everything, and yeah.
great thing about Don is he didn't have a wrestling background, so he's
Mhm.
watching as if the first time he's seen wrestling,
Oh yeah.
and seen the move, so he hasn't seen these moves, for 20, 30 years like Mike Tenay might have.
hmm
You know, so there's Don West, the king of the home shopping network,
hmm
you know, watching these brilliant guys do stuff that he's never seen before, and he's just mind boggled at every show, and when the show is good and the show is going well when Don West is hoarse by the end of the night and you can barely hear what he's saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's when you knew that the show was really, really good.
hmm Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I can kind of knowing that. I think it can kind of compare that to a current commentator in WWE, Pat McAfee, because he's just a big WWE fan. He's dancing on the commentator's table and doing all that. He's yelling across the arena and everything, and
Cool.
it's just better to see that that the commentators are really into it. And I
Yep,
know some commentators are like, "Well, I've seen this, but it's still cool." But I
yep.
think that good combination is always awesome. So,
If you are not experienced as a commentator, if you just let yourself absorb what you see as a fan, it's going to make more than make up for that.
hmm
You know,
yeah, yeah, hmm yeah, yeah. All right, Jesse.
Yeah, so I was like watching a YouTube video of when Don West went off on Mike Tenay. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
that. Was that Don just being frustrated with the company and taking it on Mike, or was there issues between the 2?
mm-hmm.
I don't think there was issues between those gentlemen because they rode together every road trip.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably something either for frustration or maybe it was just a storyline or something because those guys were great friends off screen.
Mm-hmm.
hmm Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that now. I'm like, yeah, Don West did go off pretty hard, and I think it was like 2009, 2010, and
Yeah. Yeah.
seemed like a big video at the time, and people have watched it over the years now. But yeah, knowing the two together, it definitely like could have been a company thing as well, or storyline. I didn't follow up after what happened with that, but yeah.
Well, Don was awesome. I mean, he was the backbone of that company because if it wasn't for Don West, there would have been zero many house shows.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Because he would go to every house show, whether there was 100 people there or 5,000 people there, and he would push that merchandise
Mm-hmm.
left and right and made sure, just like he did. You probably don't know because you're a young man, but I mean, you have the YouTube videos when he was on the Home Shopping Network.
Oh yeah.
He has the most convincing tone
Mm-hmm.
and voice reflection to get you to buy something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's so off the wall and so crazy. I mean, it's been spoofed so many times on like Mad TV and Saturday Night Live. Not Don West, but just the Home Shopping Network. 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to buy this item.
Yeah, yeah. You have to.
And he would bring that energy every time, whether it was 100 people or whether it was 5,000 people. He'd bring the same energy, and those people would leave with droves of shirts and droves of merch, calendars, pictures, posters. He sold everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think I remember seeing those YouTube videos. He's like, "You got to do this now, man. You got to. This is, this is life or death or something." So
Oh yeah,
he definitely could get you to buy something for
oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Tracy in the comments section says, "Thoughts on the Mexican American stable? Did you want to be head of that group?"
Um, it was a very very good group. It was. I went to Mexico. I lived there for 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I came back. What was originally pitched to me and promised to me was not given to me. Surprise,
Wow.
surprise! It's wrestling. You
Yeah.
know, and so they said, "Well, here's this guy. He's been working hard in OVW, and there's uh, Sarita and Rosita. I've known Sarita probably for about 10 years before that because we wrestled in Mexico together, and she was one of the best Mexican wrestlers. Even though she's Canadian, she was one of the best lucha girls around the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it had the right vehicle, just maybe better storylines or you know,
Mm-hmm.
better storylines. Let's just go with that.
Okay. Yeah.
We, of course, it was a rough time. It was a rough time because we had the group was trying to take off, and that was one that where it was it Dixie's project? Was it Eric Bischoff's project? Who was in charge of this?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It felt like like a three-legged. You ride a three-legged horse. That is, it can still walk, it can still jog and walk, but it's not going full capacity.
Oh.
So when you have too many cooks and hey,
Mm-hmm.
we do this, and there was no one giving you a set answer on how it should be done.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it was. There was times that it was great, but it went like this. It went like this for went like this for a little bit, and all of a sudden went like this and then this.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
But it was a fun time because I mean, I get to be a full fledged heel and have fun, so it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Definitely. All right. Good question, Tracy.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about that too. I think about 6 or 7 years ago, after AJ was in TNA, he did an interview, and he's like, I didn't even know who to exactly talk to, because once I talked to one person, they told me to talk to another person, and it seemed like management at that time was kind of just scattered or something.
Mm.
So, yeah. Um. Thoughts on competing in the Ultimate X matches?
Oh man, that was fun. That was fun.
Mm,
At the time, you know, things have changed obviously over the years, but
Mhm.
I was every bit of 300 pounds, and they were going, "Hey man, can you be in this match?" I go, "Sure, no problem. I'll be in a match. Whatever match you want me to be in." He goes, "Well, you have to hang from the truss and to grab the axe." I go, "Okay." He goes, "Well, you think you can pull yourself up there?" Because I'm not mentioning any names, but there was certain guys that were over, say, 250 or higher. They didn't want to do that because they were scared they would look bad or foolish because they can't, you know, Tarzan swing on the
Yeah.
rope.
Mhm.
And I remember, it's, things times are different now, but I had to show these people when they had the whole thing set up, and I just like Tarzan, hand over fist, boom, 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 all the way across and back
Mhm.
at 300 pounds to show them I could do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were going, okay, well, don't show or don't do that until the pay per view. Don't show them that at all. So just have them surprise.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
it
mhm,
was one of those. I dare you to try this move, and
mm,
it was just I was at the time I was a young guy and didn't know my
mm,
own strength. So I mean, I I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be able to do that.
mhm. Huh. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the whole meaning of the match was like it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits, and
Yeah,
I was like thinking like, well, there kind of is a limit, but you were able to pull it off, so I guess you kind of embodied the whole no limits thing during the match. So yeah,
yeah, worked out.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. All right, Jesse.
All right, I have one more question, then we're gonna let you go, sir. Um, what are your thoughts on Steve Carino
As a wrestler or what?
as a wrestler?
Uh, Probably the smartest wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's this guy who could wrestle, who now would if it was 2020 when he wrestled in the 2000s, early 2000s, he'd be making money hand over fist.
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was still more of a body. You had to have a body, and he just didn't have the look. But I mean, he had the gift of gab, and he could wrestle. And then when
Mm-hmm.
he did that, the
Mm-hmm.
he was given the like he was the last ECW champion, and then when he got in good with 0-1 and Ring of Honor, wow, I mean, he looked like the smartest guy in the room because here's this guy who was told he don't look the part, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe you could be a commentator, maybe you could be a manager, but you never could be a wrestler. And here he is fighting in main events in 0-1.
Mm-hmm.
Great for him, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 definitely. And I kind of want to get one more thing in too, but
Right?
how was it working with Team 3D slash the Dudley Boys? Mm,
Probably about as good as you think.
mm,
Those guys, in my mind, are one of the greatest inventors of modern day tag team wrestling.
mm, mhm,
You know, I like watching the Steiners, Midnight Express, um, the Rockers, guys like that. But I mean, these guys, we wrestle them as baby face, we wrestle them as heels. Those guys had the psychology down to a pat to get these people's attention to where it needs to be at, whether it's to get them to boo them or get them to cheer them. They had the crowd in the palm of their hand every single night.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This I forgot exactly what show it was, but I know I remember seeing you or LAX and the Dudley Boys go at it. And I think
Yep,
just the ring psychology in that match was just awesome. And I mean, two good tag teams, a Rising Stars tag team, and then an established tag team.
yep.
So
Those
yeah.
guys, those guys taught us a lot. Oh, they were awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, It looks like all the questions were answered on there. So, yeah, we just want to thank you again
Yes.
being on the show. Shout out to the guy that made this happen. He knows who he is. And
Yeah.
yeah, we thank him extremely. Thank you extremely. And
Yeah.
yeah, can't wait to see what the future holds for Mr. Hernandez. So,
Okay, brother.
yeah.
Y'all have a great weekend, man.
Yeah,
You too.
you too. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Have a nice night. And live is